So I feel like we know at least a few new things right now, trying to make money, having a side hustle, driving for these food delivery apps. And actually, this is something that even these companies anticipated happening right now. And that is really just a general slowdown. It's reopenings, right? It's people going out and dining. And I mean, it's just a summer season. So we're seeing that happen right now. That's number one. And then we have really all of the other things that are constantly changing. We've seen the virtual restaurants getting the pickups from places we've never seen before, the bonus pay, that's obviously something that we're always watching here, and how much money can I make? Can I hit $25 per hour? Now, knowing all of that full well, of course, still trying to hit that $25 an hour. I drove for Uber Eats here in Pittsburgh. I did have something that kind of threw me off, so I want you to see that. And then let's look at the actual numbers at the end of the video to see if that slowdown is really continuing. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike. On this channel, I help you with the gig economy, your side hustle or your full-time hustle, making money and creating multiple revenue streams. So if you are new here, consider subscribing. All right, so here I am again in Pittsburgh with really not much going on around 11 a.m. So it's really a lunch rush shift. Now, I've done breakfast, lunch rush, the traditional dinner rush. Let me know down below in the comments what you typically drive here. But let's go online, 11 a.m. Now, actually, a good sign to start the shift here is getting this really immediately. I'm talking seconds after going online. That's a good sign, in my opinion. So $8.15 for 4.2 miles. Now, it's from a place that I haven't really heard of before. Make note of that for later. It's at Philly Fresh Cheesesteaks, and it's 28 minutes. Now, I actually declined this one, the dollars to mile ratio. How much am I getting paid for the miles driven? It's decent, but also consider that it's really dollars to time ratio. How much time is this going to take? So what, $8.15 for basically 30 minutes. So double that. And that, of course, is your projected earnings per hour. So if I got two of these in an hour, it's not really going to hit a threshold of earnings that I'm comfortable with. All right, well, going online and getting an order request immediately. Now, that was a good sign because that may indicate that it's going to be a busy day, right? They need drivers. They're basically glad that you went online and they're throwing you an order. But now it is 11:05 and I'm still waiting for a request. Now, I feel like you can increase the chances of getting an order so you don't have to wait obviously as long by just staging in a hot zone. Those are areas that are dense with restaurants, right? And that's what I was doing, but finally got this one at 11:14. Now, it's pretty good. It's $17.66. Now, it's a stacked order, right? We can see that by the number 2 there. And it's number 1 at Dunkin', number 2 at Cafe 33. And again, look at the time here, 41 minutes for $17. Compare that to that previous one here. And that really shows why time is so important. Now, while completing these orders, I did get this one. So it's Shady Grove. It's $8.86. But consider this. Look at that dollars to mile ratio. How much am I getting paid for the miles driven? And here's why this is actually important. I mean, hey, let's be honest here. You're using your personal vehicle for these gig apps, right? And that's obviously a very important asset. So looking at the numbers for miles versus pay, if you are going to put miles on that vehicle, obviously you want to be paid as much as possible for that eventual wear and tear on the vehicle. Now, remember, this year for business driving in 2021, you can also write off 56 cents per business mile. So consider that. If you can write off as a business expense 56 cents per business mile, if you're getting paid $1 per mile, think about that. So I mentioned this in a recent video that, hey, I mean, what happens if my shift, my market even, is just really slow as of late? So I want you to take $7 minimum payouts, still on a good dollars to mile ratio if possible, but I mean, I wouldn't really go much lower than $7. So take a look at this one. This is kind of a good example of that. It's $7.50. Now, this is, I mean, it's a little bit lower pay. It's still a good paying order, right? But it's 0.8 miles. Now consider if this was, let's say, $5 or $4.50, because you will see that on most food delivery apps. Now, again, it's still technically a good dollars to mile ratio, right? $4 for 0.8 miles. But my warning for you there is, yeah, it's not going to take a lot of time, but you may be able to ignore $3, $4 orders and get just a better offer. And then just consider the hassle of making still the pickup and the drop off, of course, and any potential problems. Now, of course, there may be no problems there, but do you really want to do that for, let's say, $3 or $4? This is something else that you can look for that says, okay, this time, this day, this shift isn't actually that bad. And that's this. It's a stacked order. So think about it. It's at least busy enough that you're in a vicinity and there's orders, more orders actually, in that vicinity for you, the current driver. So I saw the screenshot of this next order here and I forgot about it. I completely forgot about it that I did it today. And I remember why I took a screenshot of this. It's a warning sign to you. This is real. Check this out. Here it is, folks, right here. I told you about those low paying orders. This is real for $1.88. Now, I mean, it's a thing that I just talked about, the dollars to mile ratio. I mean, it's 1.4 miles. That's not even a stellar dollars to mile ratio. But I mean, it's going to take 15 minutes. There's really no arguments from the app, let's say, that this would make sense to take $1.88. Can you beat that? Let us know down below. Well, I would love to make some money and just move on to my next high payout here. But of course, no, it's $2.38, 3.3 miles. That is under $1 per mile. This one is more along the lines of what we're waiting for. So 15.13 on a stacked order, it's 4.6 miles. And then another thing that we really don't talk about a lot is your experience with that actual restaurant. For instance, this one, it's $9.93. It's good, right? The dollars to time, excellent. The dollars to mile, pretty good. But the restaurant, the So Fresh, after you get a couple of reps in your marketplace, after you schedule certain blocks, let's say on a DoorDash, what have you, you'll start to get familiar with these restaurants. Hey, this one's on the ball all the time. This one, or even the drop-off location. Let me know if you agree with this. But even the drop-off location, you can say, hey, parking's easy there. Or they have a dedicated delivery area in the lobby. It's great. I like dropping off to that place. Now, remember at the beginning of the video, I told you I did something that kind of threw me off. It was this one actually. So go back to that order. So the So Fresh one, look at this. Do you notice anything about this? There's something that's standing out or maybe not standing out that should cause concern. What is it? Well, I didn't do basically the black screen hack. So when you get an order request, sometimes your entire screen is black on Uber Eats. You can't see the starting and the ending destination. This is kind of a modified or different version of that because I can see the map, but I cannot see the starting and the ending destination. With this one, I was happy to get next a perfect ending destination for me. It was $11.30, a stellar dollars to mile ratio, and pretty good on the time as well. Now, one interesting thing about this, actually, the Genji Sushi here in Pittsburgh. So whenever you get these order requests, what happens if you get a request from a place that you have never heard of? I mean, you know your marketplace. Maybe you order food delivery. Maybe you're a sushi fan. You're like, where is Genji Sushi? I have never heard of this place. Well, surprise, is actually a virtual restaurant in Whole Foods of all places. So a virtual restaurant, it's just that. It's a digital restaurant. You can order on the app, but it's not an actual physical restaurant. It's just contracted out. Sometimes you'll see this at a Bravo. You'll see this at burger spots. You'll see this in diners, other places. And this time, Genji Sushi was actually, again, Whole Foods. So just something to consider. It's not really a make or break. That's up to you. But there can be virtual restaurants that are under multiple names. And it's really up to you to do the market research to say, okay, I know this is a virtual restaurant and it doesn't matter who it is. Are they on the ball or do they make me wait? So now it's time to look at the numbers to see how I did. So this lunch rush shift here in Pittsburgh was from 11 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. During this time, I made $54.21, which equaled a gross revenue per hour. This is interesting, continuing on that lower tier here, $21.68. Now, the thing with this, of course, we're aiming for $25. But if your floor can be still above $20, I think it's still okay for your marketplace. Now, if you're averaging, let's say $17, $16 an hour, then you may also want to explore other niches. During this shift, I completed 7 deliveries. I did receive 7 tips, a little bit lower on the tip average here as well. It was $3.79. I really would look for you to average around $4 plus, ideally $5 plus on your average tip. Now, it's really not all bad. Remember, the metric that really communicates efficiency of your driving is the payout per mile. So in this shift, I drove 22.3 miles, which equaled a payout per mile of $2.43. So remember, your goal is $1.75 as a minimum. But if you're hitting, I'd say $2 to $3 plus, then you are being very efficient, really regardless of the payouts. And based on these miles, I do get a tax deduction of $12.49. And the way that that is calculated, again, that's your business miles. Multiply that by your tax deduction this year for business driving. Again, 56 cents per business mile. So if you got value in this video, definitely drop me a like. And you can also click or tap screen here for my newest video, as well as a video recommended for you. And I'll see you in the next one.